the main campus, St. Bonaventure University, will just join us in this intellectual exercise. So, my dear brothers, also come and be at home. So, at this juncture, we have gathered today in a special way to help one another to expand our levels of knowledge and also to exhume the depth of our ignorance. This is what's going to help us to understand what it means to discuss in a form of a debate. It is under the theme or the motion which reads as democracy is an evil system. Democracy is an evil system. This is the motion that in which we are going to listen to the panelists who are going to bring about what they gathered. It is traditionally understood or known that each and every individual who holds a certain amount or a reservoir of knowledge. We have a reservoir of knowledge. But that reservoir, it is unknown whether it is rocky, it is muddy, it is sand, it is dry, or it is full to the brim. What measures this, it is not as such our capacity as illiterate individuals or illiterate, but the manner in which we give birth, we distribute this reservoir to those tributaries that are around us. This is one of the main agendas that in which this debate of today is going to prove and also to help us to understand and to measure the depth of this reservoir. So, at this point in time, allow me to invite on the stage here, I'd like to invite the judges, okay? I'll begin by Brother Costa, is our judge, to come and take a seat at the judge's place. Our second judge will be Madam Sylvia Matale. You are kindly invited to take a seat. And then our third judge is Deacon Moses Chilabe. You are most welcome. So this makes up the panel of the judges, or our judges today. And then this will be followed by inviting in the forefront here our proposing side who are proposing that democracy is an evil system. So the proposers will be none other than our 30 brothers. So kindly the proposers can you take a little to come in front and you find my right side here. So we are most welcome. Coming, leading is Brother Betano, Brother Morris, Brother Michel, and also Brother Edwards. So this makes up our proposing side. And then now I would like to invite the forefront our opposing team, the opposing side, the opposers. Those who are opposing the motion that democracy is not an evil system. My dear second year brothers, kindly come in front and occupy my right hand side here. we have Brother Christmas, so and then Brother Dota Makamba. This makes up the team of the proposals. So I think when we see what we perceive before us, it is the team of our panelists from the opposed to the proposals. Before I proceed to give just a synopsis of the rules, the regulations of this debate, I would like to remind you that this day is not simply taken for granted. We also commemorate this day in a special way as we celebrate World Philosophy Day, as it was yesterday was the material day, but today it is a day in which we thought it's right to celebrate this day in this kind of a fashion. So we celebrate together this special event. Okay. So I'll begin by the time distribution. Time distribution. Each and every speaker will be given only 7 minutes. That's a maximum of 7 minutes. You may present your argument, your ideas in 3 minutes. It's okay. But don't go beyond 7 minutes. What I mean, the maximum is 7 minutes for all the presenters, from the first speaker to the last one. 7 minutes. So, my dear panelists, kindly we observe time. And I would like to read one of the most important also areas of considerations. So this reads as follows. Points of information can be requested after the first minute of a speech and also prior to the last minute of the speech. This simply entails that the first minute when a speaker comes in, we the team that is proposing. For example, if one member from the proposers is presenting, in the first minute it's known as the protected time. We are not allowed from the proposers to interject or to object. Okay, we are not. It's the first minute and the last minute. But within that time frame, we can interject. And who is to allow you to interject or to accept? It is the one who is here giving what the speech, the one who is presenting is the one. So this we have to take note of that, the protected time. It's very important. So this is what I wanted to say. So our debate here, it takes the format of a parliamentary debate. This is a parliamentary debate whereby when the one is presenting here can be objected within the course of time, especially not the first minute or the last minute. Between can be interjected or can be objected. So this is how our debate is going to take its strides. Okay. So at this time, without so much wasting our time, I would like to allow or to call upon here our first speaker here, who is also known as the Prime Minister, from the proposers. So the first speaker from the proposers, I kindly allow you to come and take the floor, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, sir. Members of the House, it is well known from onset that there are various systems of government, and each one of them has its own essential characteristics. Out of the many, this government has been proposed with one, democracy. I have to mention that this form of government, as far as my government is concerned, is evil. In view of the foregoing, my government supports the motion that democracy is an evil system. For the purpose of our debate, allow me to define the terms. Etymologically, the word democracy traces its origin from two Greek words. Demos, meaning all citizens living within a particular city or state, and kratos, meaning power or rule. From its etymology, democracy is a system of government in which all citizens living in a particular city or state have the power to rule. Democracy is further defined by Abraham Lincoln, the former US president, as the rule of the people, for the people, and by the people. The term ego is ably defined by the great philosopher and theologian, St. Thomas Aquinas, in the Summa Theologia as the deprivation or absence of the good, which is natural and due to a thing. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines the term system as a regularly interacting or interdependent group of items forming a unified whole. According to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, government is a particular system or method of controlling a country. With this background, distinguished judges, as the government, we accept that democracy is an ecosystem for the reasons we shall provide in our arguments. The structure of our arguments will take this form. First point, which I'll argue shortly, is democracy is a pervasive form of government. The second point, people with no knowledge of leadership should not rule. This set of argument will be tackled by the Deputy Prime Minister. Thirdly, democracy relies on the fiction of the rule of the majority, a point which will be argued by the member of the government. And to sum up all the arguments, the government will give a summary of the position of the government. As earlier alluded to, my role here is to demonstrate using Aristotle's political theory the pervasiveness of democracy. In his work, Book 5, Politics Book 5, Aristotle gives two categories of systems of government, the true on one hand and the perverted on the other hand. It is interesting to note, members of the symposium, that an authority like Aristotle categorized democracy as a perverted system of government. Why? In the same book 5, Aristotle argues, and I quote, true forms of government are those in which the leader or leaders govern a few to the common interest. However, governments that rule with a view to the private interest are defective or perverted forms. Democracy is a form of government in which the leaders govern with a view to private interest. Therefore, democracy is a defective or perverted form of democracy, end of quotation. In line with Aristotle, we the government firmly uphold that democracy is a perverted system of government because no matter who the leaders are, be they poor or the rich, they look out for their own interests and ignore the interests of the subjects. To bring a point home, distinguished judges, in the news article carried by the BBC, dated 24th April 2012, it was reported that in 1992, US President George W. Bush was forced to admit that he did not know how much the gallon of milk cost during a debate with Bill Clinton and Ross Perot. This shows members of the opposition how this perverted system of government detaches leaders from the concerns of their subjects and deprives them of the good which is their due. It is why this government believes democracy is an evil system. Members of the opposition, even Plato himself, who lived in the most advanced democracy of that time, shows no sign of supporting this system. In his monumental work, The Republic, he writes, and I quote, "The ideal state must be ruled by a philosopher king, in whom political power and philosophy be united in the same person. He who had true knowledge, who is alone adapted to the performance of his supreme task. As such, our main concern as the government, resting our argument on a Platonic standpoint, is that in democracy, if the majority of the people are ignorant, automatically there would be a leader who is ignorant, because he or she would be elected or voted by his fellow ignorance. This government still affirms that democracy is an evil system. With this foundation laid, distinguished judges, I beg to move.
So that was our Prime Minister, our first speaker from the proposing side. So we give him another round of applause. So just another reminder to remind you what you already mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention it in emphasis. So the first, that protected time, the first minute we ring a bell to show that 1 minute is passed, okay? And then when it's the 60 minutes, we again will ring the bell to show that it's the end of the protected time, and also only the minute is remaining. So just to remind you, my dear panelists, okay, and the rest of the House of Intellectuals. So allow me now to invite to the podium our first speaker from the opposers, okay, the leader of the opposition. So the first speaker, you are kindly welcome to the podium. Then we accompany with the
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This matter on the stage is democracy and the system of governance. I and my fellow opposition members argue that democracy is the best system that one can ever think of. Before I get in right, allow me to acknowledge the presence of the jury, my brothers, above all the president of the congregation. In the ancient Greek ages, one of the major intellectual problems faced was the definition of terms. An exercise which brought cumbersome during the Socratic age. To rest, I shall define 3 key concepts in the topic. Starting with democracy. Democracy, according to Psych Dictionary, implies that it's a system of government in which all the people of the country can vote to direct their representatives. Alternatively, democracy is a Greek word, democratia, which means divided in demos and kalos. Demos means people, and kalos means rule. Therefore, democracy is a government of people, for the people, by the people. Evil also the dictionary define it as enjoying others, morally bad and cruel, having a harmful effect on people, connected with the helpful and with that is bad and good, extremely imprisoned. Government is a structure and process that is designed to ensure stability, transparency, equality, and broad race expression. I call the first speaker to the stage in the accused of any government in the queue, democracy in the world. So the jury, this present the opening mistake for my case, and if I present it appropriately. First and foremost, democracy, it means do for the people, by the people, and of the people. And the claim to say democracy is evil is really unreasonable. In the sense that evil is something that is unreasonable, something that is connected to evil, and something that will promote the goodness of people.
Mr. Speaker, you are giving us
That defend the right of its own system. Democracy provides safety, choice its members, and protect the best interests of the people. No matter of business, gender, or religion. Democracy works to fulfill the will, the wish, and the feelings, values, and desire of the society as governments. This also known as the general view, which is also accepted one of the famous philosopher, J.J. himself.
Okay, thank you. Where leaders are more rich are the so-called democratic countries. I'll give an example. Thanks to all. Zambia.
Artificial intelligence data. Similarly, digital research into the social contract, the collective justice, the sovereign and the general will implies that people come together and create a new sovereign which function as it on its budget. Collectively, work together and do what's best for the sovereign as a whole. Everyone contributes as I say, and also our status to be governed, yet all put selfish desires and motivations to look out what's best for the world. This general allows citizens, the rulers, and the subjects to be the concrete free, but bound to the law of the land. It is the best comparison between giving free to society with other people. Interpret this kind of theory in a way they directly focus, where people as a whole decide what is best for the nation, where everyone is equally free and equally responsible. Recent Aristotle has said that man is a political animal. Man relates to the politician just by nature, as is born with natural intellect, in which allows him to participate in politics. Henceforth, in a democracy, the leaders knows the best of the people that is governs. Moreover, democracy is not evil system of governance, in the sense that the answer to this problem is religion. And this answer is not outside us or inside us, but the answer belongs us. The most place that is known in this politics is one that is better than Taylor. I don't know is better than Warren. Warren is better than democracy. It is true or it is debated. But the answer to this is this one. Yes, this one is essence that explains who we are born, and how we should lead the society. This one is our natural state to come back the answer to the conflict in the governance. Anyone who does not believe that this one is an answer is able to experience the strength of this workforce. Yes.
So thanks so much, our first speaker from the opposing side. So let us give another deserving round of applause. It is a World Philosophy Day as we give it, okay, as we celebrate. And one of the questions that we can ask, why World Philosophy Day? Because laymen would consider philosophy as that which does not put food on the table. That's how they accuse and condemn philosophy. That philosophy, studying it, just a waste of time. But we are reminded that philosophy should help us to clarify what we speak and what we think, to clarify our faculty of reason and also our manner of articulation, that which we speak. So this was what was happening from our first speakers, from the proposing side and the opposing side. They gave the clarity to the technologies. At this juncture, may I call the second speaker from the opposing side. They still hold the notion that democracy is an evil system. So I call upon to the podium the second speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister from the opposing side.
I thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, may I say all protocols observed. I stand here this afternoon for two main reasons. First reason is to give it back to what leader of opposition have just stated here. Let me educate the members of the symposium this afternoon that democracy is an evil system. Here was stated that democracy is a government for the people, government for the people, and also by the people. And this government works for best interest of the people. This is actually not true. Irrelevant of democracy today is an inevitable situation. Let me tell you this afternoon that this conundrum cannot be discussed here because the irrelevance is already self-explanatory. I will tell you with a very serious critical analysis, starting from what Minister already said about the prayer of how he understood the democracy. So I'll give the analysis which the Plato shared the analogy of Adventus, the well-known as brother of Plato, the allegory or analogy of the sheep of the state, where he sees that people in this sheep who have no knowledge about the nation, this sailors who have no knowledge about steering the ship, but everyone feels that it's his right to navigate. At the end of the day, all of them, they feel that I am the one supposed to navigate. Confusion starts. So, this is what exactly we see with democracy. Everyone feels that he is capable of doing something good, to be a leader, to be a political leader, so on and so forth. My dear brother, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to assure you that if we give one of these sailors to navigate the ship, it will sink. That's why that is always what happens with democracy. So, on an aesthetic point of view, let me quote one of American philosopher by the name Johnson Brennan in favor everyone. This is because democracy believes that everyone have a say or you can control things. Democracy computes in this matter the very existence of political expertise. Therefore, democracy threatens and even sometimes kills everyone who claims to be intellectual superiority. So, going further, let us see how philosophers understand the issue of democracy. Our quote Niccolo Machiavelli in his book called The Prince, page 79 for the sake of reference. Machiavelli has said that for one to ascend to a certain level, especially in politics, is supposed to with more values and so on. Once he reaches there, he's supposed to be ready to abandon everything and to be a man who is, we can say, a cruel man and so on. He should not be taking care of anything at all. So Machiavelli, in this sense, you see what democracy does. Because of lack of knowledge, people they don't have knowledge at all. What they do now in democracy, you vote for anyone to be in that position, but you not be able to perform his duty at all. So in this case, you see that once he reaches there, he abandons everyone, he don't take care of anyone. And at the end of the day, you now start looking for the needs to maintain that power. My dear oppositions, this country will not go anywhere if we are democracy, because the leaders that we have, they have no knowledge about politics at all. I can give a good example of our country so far. We have a country that we put someone on a position, on a position, but a man who is a pastor, who has no knowledge about politics. Can I take your point, please?
Yeah. If I go to saying that, you're saying that these people who lose for the government.
First, about democracy, we're not looking about which one is the best form of governance. Let me just point out some side effects of democracy. Democracy, my dear ladies and gentlemen, democracy permits someone who is morally and reasonable, ignorant and incompetent about politics to exercise political authority over others. This is very dangerous. We should not even perpetuate this thing or advocate democracy. Second thing, democracy promotes what we call tribalism, because everyone wants to have someone from his tribe to lead. But where are we going? Where are we going? Tell me, if this is the case that we have to promote democracy, which at the end of the day will be divided. So it's very chaotic thing. We should not do like that. It is therefore the duty and obligation of the government time to educate masses about side effects of democracy, meanwhile compute its existence in our country in order to save innocent people from calamities of democracy. I submit this.
So that was an exposition from our second speaker, our deputy Prime Minister from the proposal. I would like John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy in democracy, he lays the foundation. He says the ignorance of one voter in a democracy, it impairs security. Allow proceed by inviting our deputy leader, opposition leader, or seconds you have on the other opposed that democracy is not an evil system. So kindly come and on board your second speaker.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd like to say or propose or say. First of all, I'm going to try to address what one of the speakers decided said. He was asking that there are many impoverished countries that are suffering due to democracy. However, this question will be answered as I am presenting, because I will focus on the thriving countries that are really improving due to this democracy. Second of all, one of the speakers mentioned that people who are doing democracy have no knowledge of steering the ship, which is leading. Therefore, the thriving countries that I'm going to focus on that are leading democracy are going to simply address that these leaders have democratic knowledge of leadership. First of all, democracy is indisputably the best system of governance. This is exhibited by the research by John Kerr, which has shown that the longer a country is ruled democratically, the better it performs across a variety of governance and development indicators, including economic performance. The 5 countries I'm going to focus on are India, Brazil, South Africa, Turkey, and Indonesia, collectively known as IPSATA. These five countries are emerging democratic nations that are at various stages of democratic consolidation and economic development. They serve as an example of the positive relationship between regime type and economic and social advancement. They already lead the way internationally in terms of regional excellence and are establishing themselves as significant participants globally in terms of politics, business, and matter of peace and security.
Speaker, it is interesting that among the countries that you have mentioned as leading examples of democracy is India. It seems, Speaker, you're not aware that in India there is a lot of suppression by the so-called government. So how does this qualify to be a better example of democracy? I think it's
okay. The question will be answered. These 5 nations have recently transformed from authoritarian, centralized, militaristic, apartheid, and statism-based civilization to ones that are more dynamic, decentralized, and democratic. They all made unique decisions to move toward more openness, both politically and economically. As a result, they each set themselves on a course for renewed prosperity and growth with striking declines in inequality and poverty. Their decisions about advancement in improving the standard of living for their people. A more ambitious activist and genuine claim to leadership at the regional and global levels has been made possible by these strengths. For each of the IPSATA countries, a historic path-altering decision sets the stage for dynamic growth and development. In 1985, Brazil returned to democracy after 21 years of military dictatorship. For India, the 1991 economic reforms that catalyzed consistent and high growth. South Africa saw the end of apartheid rule in 1994, ushering in a new era of majority rule democracy, exemplified by the free and fair elections of the country. Indonesia turned to democracy in 1998 when President Suharto tendered his resignation in the wake of the Asian financial crisis in the face of corruption charges. Turkey's transition from military-dominated rule crystallized in 2002 when general elections led to the first single-party government since 1987 and the first two-party parliament in 48 years. These critical junctures launched the IPSATA countries into the rising leaders they are today. Each nation's gross domestic production skyrocketed as it moved toward democratizing governance and liberalizing its economy. In comparison to the period right before its turning point in 1985, Brazil's GDP was 10 times larger in 2012. Compared to the years preceding their individual turning moments, India's growth rate was 6 times larger. Indonesia's growth rate was 5 times larger. In South Africa and Turkey's growth rate was 3 times more. A hint to the ongoing income gaps in all 5 countries may be seen in the fact that GDP per capita has increased in all 5 nations, albeit not nearly at the same rate as GDP as a whole. In such nations who have free and fair elections,
Speaker, I'm at loss. In the definition of terms, the leader of opposition informed this House and informed us that democracy is about the rule of the people. In your presentation, you're talking about GDP, economics. Is economics also part of the ruling of the people, or we have digressed, we have moved away from leadership, we are now into economics? I think
the question is one of If such nations were free and fair elections, have improved their responsiveness to popular demands and are utilizing their economic strength to invest in their people by increasing their spending on healthcare and education each year. With this said, I rest my case.
So there was the second speaker from the opposition team. As much as the motion is being dissected, I feel some sensation of I feel some goosebumps. When you feel too cold, your body reacts to some goosebumps. Those of us who are going to be able to testify that. I think that's what's happening now. As much as we are delving into this motion, we feel things are getting more and more tense now as the third speaker will come also to tackle and continue to dissect the motion. I don't know whether some of us have the same feeling of the goosebumps, but I feel goosebumps soon I shall begin to tremble lest I get some cover. So now I would like to invite the third speaker from the proposing side, the member of our government, okay? Member of government, kindly come up onto the podium and give us what you have.
Allow me to address the matter which was raised by the speaker who just left the podium. First of all, I want to bring to attention that the speaker has left us in the fallacy of case generalization. He has said it, I don't know how many countries in the world, but out of many countries in the world, he has said it as harsh countries. And without regard, we are just being informed how India is in democracy. You see that in India, there is a gap between the poor and the rich. That's the democracy that is propagating. Members of the symposium, on this point, allow me to indicate the House regarding the motion of this debate. The democracy as legal system as it manifests itself as a fiction. The premise which I want to emphasize here is that democratic principles are based on the vision or an abstract. This is because they are not fully actualized in the sense that democratic system, there's only one person who comes out to preside as a ruler for the state, and this person can be attributed to any name, with the president or the head of state. Therefore, in democracy, what we see the character of the Superman, and meet authority and power in the life of democracy, as it propagates that everyone is equal to everyone. Thus, can be a poor understanding of things. However, looking at the privileges which are attached to the Superman, for instance, absolute immunity from both criminal and civil crimes while a person is in the office. Therefore, we propose that democracy is a legal system because through its friction propagation, it uses people as means to end, not that end is in itself. This can be well explained as my brother elaborated about matter. The prince ascends to the throne with the help of people, and when he reaches there, he kills the ladder. This is the reality of what democracy is. When a leader ascends there, he forgets his people. Allow me to call one of the leading democracies. Allow me to call one of the leading fathers of democracy. That's John Stuart Mill. In his book, entitled Rule of Voting, I quote, and he has said that he seems that equality does not play an important role in news laws. A minute, please. A collection decision-making procedure through it still plays an important role with regard to the development of individual capacities. End of collection. In this regard, you give us education being at the core center of participation of each and every individual in democracy. But now, my question is this real? Can everyone in the country get education? No, it's not real. This is a fiction. It is self-evident that even as government ourselves, we are providing free education, but not everyone is free what to school. Allow me to educate also symposium, redefine what my brother gave us about Abraham Lincoln. When he addresses in 1 October 1885, he defines democracy as the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Being that in democracy, common people are chosen for the position of power through election by the majority. Therefore, democracy can be understood as a political system which operates function through and by the cloud. So Ray Kierkegaard, the father of existentialism, the cloud is untruthful. As he claimed that a cloud, not this cloud, that cloud, the cloud living now, the humble cloud, people of the superior people, rich and poor, cloud this concept is untruthful. But the reason that individuals are not responsible. We can draw a conclusion that democracy as a political system which hides itself in the cloud. This is because to exist in the cloud is not existing at all. The cloud rejects the responsibility. For example, that's in we expression, no one is held unaccountable. That's the evil nature of democracy, and that's what we are propagating here. Democracy is an evil system.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, on the best point or education, to say it's not possible that all countries can be achieved. Nobody is not point to say we need to educate the government. Secondly, you said people lack knowledge. People lack knowledge. Those people who lack knowledge. Yeah. So we should do.
was posed one question. I've been asked a question here in the proposal. As earlier as I stated, the question that comes in, who should rule? I think you followed our presentation from the beginning, from our side. We propose the first king who knows the knowledge of the sheep is the one to know. Not everyone has the principle of democracy propagates that, especially for all people. It's a fiction. Let me continue. The other question will be responded. If it's necessary at all. This is what we see in democracy, that leaders who are chosen to no commitment because are chosen by the crowd. The crowd is the ghost. We all know if a riot happens here, there's pain. You cannot arrest 1 million people who are in the crowd. The crowd has no hand. No one is held responsible. Democracy is a democracy system, and that's what we come and we propagate. Let me just conclude that we, the government, we're not making arguments from the naive consciousness, as my brother Hegel will say. But as government, we have seen how democracy itself has rolled out after most of African countries. Well, most European countries now who did not signal or propagate democracy can see how progressive they are. Thank you.
So that was the member of the government from the opposing side, our next speaker. In his articulation, he quoted sorry, guys. Crowds and food. I don't know whether we affirm with that or we don't affirm it. It's in your own capacity. So now I would like to go in the confessions of Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, he will remind us as citizens of a state that the best argument against democracy is simply a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. Martin Heidegger will tell you that inauthenticity will be found in the average, the dustman. When the dustman is swallowed, it does man. So now allow me to invite the third speaker from the opposing side, who is the member of opposition. Kindly, sir, come on the podium.
All the protocols observed. Good afternoon. First, I want to respond to the question that this government talk about the balance of generalization. I quote him. He said, the party said that he said that government, this democratic government is not the true government, and he was object our part to say that what he said is not true. The question is, how can you say that it is not true government if you don't have idea of that democracy? About the economics. Our brother talk about the economics. Economics is exhibiting the status of the society. That's why one thing that India is one of the best countries that is promoting democracy. Let me now give you details about the philosophers who describe the democracy as good governance. According to John Locke, he asserts that democratic system of government, it promotes common good, it protects life, liberty, and property of its people. For this reason, those who govern are elected by the society in order to fulfill the common good for all citizens, and society has both the power to instead of appoint, to simplify for you, to appoint new governors when necessary. According to Charles Montesquieu, about that the nature of democracy for a man is most important. People as a body have a sovereign power. It implies that the nature of democracy is structured so that people are able to share and exercise the power equally. According to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, believes in direct democracy is to which everyone voted and expressed the general will and to make the law in the land. This is portrayed only in the democratic system of government, because people are able to vote and to cast the vote. Even exactly here in Zambia, recently we had the votes where people they went to cast the votes, which is democracy. Furthermore, Joshua Mill sustains on executive government. It is important in shadow to spy for you to follow the principle of liberty in its political. So,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In your speech, you just quoted Zambia, which had election just the previous year. I would like to educate you that despite the same Zambia you are quoting, in the same country, just after the election, a member of the government by the name of the local government, yes, is reported to have given people or to have forced people to drink beer because they were selling a church with the rights on the names. Is that the kind of governance you're advocating?
it's not true. Let's suppose that question is no sensible question. I said that Zambia is one of the countries, that promote democracy. One, not all, but one. Yeah. Let me continue. Those who suspect on central government, it is important shadow of both the principle of liberty and its political. Not only that, social institutions produce this law of sharing the national character. This makes citizens to like the permanent interest as progressive beings. Furthermore, John Dewey support that democracy is the debate that experience is more important than any result attained. This means that in democratic system, this means that in democracy, when the people are able to do things free and even to vote, as I already said. However, democratic system of government is fundamental to governance because it provides stability and chaos for its governance. Furthermore, governance enjoyed at last year to its chaos and to say that democratic system of government is simply to live in bad faith. Therefore, democratic system of government is the best system of government.
opposition. I stand here to correct a member of opposition that actually is arguing what we call is committing a very serious fallacy in academic. Arguing from the point of that doesn't have a knowledge of what democracy is, therefore it's giving us the opinions, his opinions. We don't have facts in this here. Actually, it's not good. First of all, let me educate you, member of opposition, that education and politics, they are compatible. So if you remove one of it, then the one will not work. What I'm trying to say is that you are talking about people voting, everyone in the society. People who have no knowledge about knowledge about politics. They don't have knowledge, they are ignorant. How possible are they going to, how do you think they are going to manage to elect someone who have knowledge about politics? And on top of that, in addition that one.
Yes. You are abusing the method of knowledge. That's what we're saying. You are abusing. If you are saying that they don't have knowledge, how is it possible that they are going to go into the going to vote this reform? Whatever the father said, that I'm not acknowledging. Who are these voters that I'm mentioning? Not nice words.
What an exposition. And what such a magnificent also response from the power audience. Now, as we see that we are heading towards the details, we are now at terminological area of our debate. That means we are about to conclude. And before I invite the last speaker, one of the government weeping, I would like to take us back to Plato's allegory of the cow. In Plato's allegory of the cow, we are told of a cow that whose members in the cow, they are in a shadow. And it is only after one of the members realizes the light outside the cave, he makes an attempt to escape or to sneak out because of the curiosity to see what beholds outside the cave. And he encounters light. And in the philosophy of Plato, he would conclude saying that person is a philosopher king. He is a thinker because he has moved away from ignorance to knowledge, from darkness to light. There is a transition and a transmission and transformation that takes place there. So this is what we are excited and that we are about to face right now. Where are we here? Is the care the democracy or the light democracy? Which of the two now can we situate democracy? Is it in the care where there are those members in the care in the darkness? Or we are moving from the point to realize that we have to crown democracy? Or we are running away that democracy has done nothing, is simply imposing injustice and simply evil at play. Where are we and where are we heading towards? A point of reflection to the member of the jury and of course to the panelists here. So without further ado, allow me now to invite to the podium our last speaker, that's the rebuttal, the last speaker here, from the proposing side, to come and give us his exposition here. So, both speakers are kindly welcome on the podium. We accompany the round of applause.
Moderator, thank you. Chair and the panel, I salute you. Members of the opposition, it's nice to have you here. Allow me to address the issues that have just been raised by the opposing opposition. It is interesting to note that the opposition still believes and asserts that the society upholds the right to keep the leader in power. When I am very sure the opposition is aware of governments that have leaders that could not be brought down. Machiavelli may have been used by the government as an example in fiction, but there is a person called Napoleon Bonaparte. You can say it. He's a famous figure who was raised by the same society to the position of power, but society could not bring him down because it was practically impossible. Had it not been for the war, only heaven knows what would have happened. The other thing that I want to mention before I concretize the arguments of the protected time throughout, before I exhaust the arguments of the government, is that the opposition seems to be acting in bad faith. In Latin, we say mala fide. When the position of the other side is not your liking, you have no right for them names. You just have to bring out arguments. Because if you start calling them names, then you are bringing out the animal self, which is not akin for human beings. Human beings, according to Aristotle, are rational beings. And it is important that the opposition takes note of that. In our argument, we have said democracy is an evil system. And the opening government made it clear that democracy is a perversion. It is a wrong concept. The true form of government, which to our surprise, the opposition actually had the audacity to quote Aristotle. Aristotle never advocated for democracy. In his politics, he advocated for oligarchy, not democracy. And the point at hand right now is democracy. Then they are quoting an authority that actually does not support what they are proposing. That is quite strange. We still affirm the perversion. What is the perversion here? This is what we want to do with the opposition. We want to educate you so that when we finish educating you, you can educate the masses. The issue here is education. Perversion is when the interests of a selected few are at play. The majority are impoverished. And this is why the most struggling governments on earth are the so-called democratic governments. When you look on the other side, on the flip side, I like the point where the opposition says you cannot take away economics from governance. That one came out clearly. But my surprise is that what is economics when the citizenry have no freedom? When posting something on Facebook or posting a comment on your wall, on your wallpaper, on your wallpage will result in being incarcerated, being in jail for reasons not known, even by the one who is arresting you. Definitely we cannot override the rights of the citizens or in the name of economics, which economics actually, as the opening government said, are only for the benefit of the president and the people in power. In democracies, this is a fact. The richest people are the ones who are elected. The ones who elect remain poor. And this is why we do not want to propagate such a system. If this is not evil, distinguished judges, then I will ask the opposition to educate us what evil is. Because in their definition, which I earlier read from the Oxford Dictionary, evil is causing harm to people. And this is what democracy is good at, causing harm. The leadership gradually have caused harm to their people. Now, this is logistics in this one. All ecosystems advance private interests. Democracy advances private interests. Therefore, democracy. Sorry, I'm privileged. The government mentioned that the ignorant should not rule. And the government made clear that we are in a crisis. This government, I'm speaking as government, has rolled out free education. Statistics are showing us that there are some people who have just decided to say we will not go to school. We want democracy to be rolled out when everyone, including the opposition, by the way, is educated. My appeal, if the opposition can hold hands with us as government, we go out there and educate our people. Then we can come back maybe 2 years from now and debate this motion. As it stands now, we are in crisis. Now, let me give you another solution. All ecosystems advocate rule of the ignorant. Democracy advocates the rule of the ignorant. Therefore, democracy is an evil system. Now, let me end my arguments by saying the last two stories. Let me say this and then I'll explain. We talk about despotic characters ascending to power. They will masquerade as good people, they will put on pointed shoes, they will polish their shoes, they will put on jackets, and then they will convince the masses that when you vote for me, things will be all right. And when they reach there, they change. Napoleon Bonaparte already mentioned. Now listen to this logic. All evil systems are used by despotic characters to ascend to power. Democracy has been used by despotic characters to ascend to power. Therefore, you know the ending? Democracy is an evil system. Soren Kierkegaard, my man, argues that the crowd, the crowd is a fiction. And it is because it cannot take responsibility. The crowd has no hands, it has no feet. You cannot see it. Therefore, democracy propagating the rule of the crowd, which does not exist, is a farce. F-U-S-S. Syllogism. All evil systems fly on the fiction of the crowd. Democracy is a system that flies on the fiction of the crowd. Therefore, democracy is an evil system.
So that was our last speaker from the proposals, was maintaining the ground that democracy remains as an evil system, and they give it a breakdown from the syllogistic approach in order to prove their argument and their point that it remains an evil system, democracy. I would like, in this point in time, also to go to our opposers, to come also and give us their own round of breakdown of their arguments as they argue that democracy is not an evil system as they defend democracy, as they've been doing so. May I call upon to the podium my last speaker from the opposition whip. Kindly, you are invited to the podium.
Dear judges, moderator, and my fellow students, and everyone present here, good afternoon. I
to summarize this political syndrome that is mandating our minds and captivated by the motion which states democracy is equal system of governance. However, we as opposers boldly oppose this motion because there is absolutely no governance which aims to do equal by any means. Democracy is an equal system. We are committing what we call political blasphemy. In fact, I want to write here debating this issue, which is not even a debate on, because the young generation with no memory of what war are becoming more and more empathetic to democracy, and more especially to the proposing side who have shown no stance throughout their entire argument. It is very difficult to pin down democracy to one's meaning. Since for them, it is different thing to different people, different contexts. Therefore, our stance here is not to plead with you to abide by what we are that democracy is a key for the development of the country. Yes, no democracy, no governance. Moreover, House of Interactions, it is true that only can attain when the correspondence between the reality and man. Yet, as it has been already alluded by my previous speaker from my side, I would like to point out the main emphasis on democracy. Democracy fosters equality. Rich and poor are able to vote into the government. This side they say only the suffering, they are only those who are rich are able to be in the government. Then the second point, democracy is flexible. My previous speaker said about that, but I will quote you by saying Nelson Mandela was led by the people to the power and he was able to calm down because democracy is flexible. That's why we change leaders. Democracy provides a critical checkup on those in power. If there is no transparency, you can't know what is happening in the government. I heard they mentioned about one Zambia minister who gave Kachanso to that mama. If there wasn't a transparency in democracy, no one can know. In democracy, there is transparency. Democracy invites and encourages citizens to learn and think more about the world. In the democracy, there is what we call structure of governance, where we have legislature, judiciary, and executive. This is a way hand in hand to deal with those who are offending the law, because no one is above the law. Then democracy provides a choice to each member and protect their best interests in them. Therefore, members of this house, indeed, the key foster to development is democracy. That's the reason most developed countries we mention, such as South Africa, Indonesia, Turkey, Brazil, and India, they are very massive growth because of democracy. Indeed, this is the point I wish to argue by going back to the roots. My previous speaker, the third speaker, mentioned about John Laws, Thomas Hobbes, and J.J. Rousseau, who have given a shield to democracy as good governance system, where I emphasize on the chain of will, common good, liberty, and to protect life. This implies that people can come together and create a system for governance by the preservation of life. However, my fellow academicians and lecturers, it is from this empirical observation we can assert that democracy as a strong foundation, which is the best method for governance. In fact, the new test of democracy lies in employing minority, giving great sympathy to the greatest number. For this reason, democratic governance is not power over the society, but power within it. In other words, where democracy is practiced, the rulers of the political games are defined by the absence of violence and dictatorial states. Reaching to my tales, it's important to know that democracy is made by humans, which is a self-rule, self-control of the society. As such, the line in dividing democratic action and political evil has to moral choice of the democratic system. We are strongly saying democracy is not evil system of governance. What brings evil is when citizens they don't follow the rule which democracy assigns.
So that was our last speaker or last presenter from the opposing team. Kindly let us give him a round of applause. So where we have reached right now, this almost marks the end of our debates. Almost. Not end, but almost, okay. Because we still have got another session that will follow. Probably will give our judges some 10-15 minutes to put together all the figures that they were able to put down. And also they will also give us a short breakdown of what they consider whatever their comments as such. So one representative of the judges will come and give some comments here and there. And then after then we shall ask or invite the dean of our committee or campus here who is not going to help in announcing of the results. We all know that Plato has come up with many allegories. I mentioned allegory of the care. Now I'd like to go to allegory of the divided line. Allegory of the divided line. Those who have done Plato probably they must have encountered or read about that allegory. In that allegory of the divided line, what did Plato really wanted to emphasize? It was an analogy that he wanted to present as a way of distinguishing, okay, to distinguish the different forms of knowledge and truth. Okay, that is knowledge that is visible and knowledge which is intelligible. Okay. So I believe by the end of what's going to be announced as results, it shall signify as such that which line exactly do we belong? The one who is intelligible or the line that's simply visible line? These shall be determined with the output of what was presented by our esteemed panelists here. So at this point in time, I would like to allow some first to sit around, to chat a bit, and drink some water. And then after the announcement, we shall be also told what to follow from there. Okay? So now we can have some fresh air. In 10-15 minutes, we will be called a court. Okay? Thank you. So, wonderful, yeah? Exercise. I hope it's not the
So as you can see now, the judges are just putting points together, and we have there Brother Costa Svanda, the first judge, and the second judge there is Madam Sylvia Mutale, who's also the English teacher for our brothers here. And then we have Deacon Moses Chilambe. And the three are sitting together to just adjudicate, to just put together objectively the points from their judgment, considering also language and the presentation, the way they were arguing out their points to prove that democracy is an evil system as a proposition from the side of the proposition, and from the side of the opposition, we had points showing that democracy is still workable. And the main argument was the fact that we see the fruits of democracy in the economy, the way economic situations improve in a democratic society. Why? Because in democratic society, we see people somehow becoming a little more industrious, and liberal economy is encouraged in democratic society. And as a result, people are able to progress and people are able to reach somewhere in society. So that was the main argument. And one of the points raised by the proposers, the proposition against the opposition was equating economics to politics. And though the opposition did not answer that question properly, it is true, politics equals economics. What people are looking for is good living. They vote in people in power to expect a good economic development. So they are not voting for people just to display their political game. No, they are expecting change and transformation in terms of the economy. And so that having been said, we're saying, looking at the content, we were trying to see whether democracy helps improve the economy or democracy makes the economy bad. The judges are looking at points and issues like this as we see them sitting together, as somehow discussing, trying to see whether what points were brought about, whether those points which were brought about are actually telling us something. Did they cite in their argument certain countries where there is no democracy and how these countries have prospered economically? Did they cite nations like Russia where there is no democracy, where there is some kind of democracy but communism is at work? Did they cite China where there is no democracy at all, but the economy is very well? Did they cite other communist nations, other monarchies where the economy is going well, but there is no democracy? Do we say that in those nations where economy is very much advanced, the economy is showing development, and yet there is no democracy, that they need to look for democracy in order for them, they need to go for democracy in order for them to improve or become worse? We don't know. Or do we advocate for the philosopher king in this regard, aristocratic kind of system, moving away from democratic systems? Does the rule of the demo, the rule of the many, help in improving things? Plato discouraged the rule of the many. Kierkegaard discouraged the crowd, because in the crowd you get lost, you don't get anywhere. And that's what democracy can do, because the many may not even be right. So should we go for a system that just promotes a single person to rule? Should we go back to chieftainship? Should we just have a chief who would reign for a long period of time? Or we still think that a system where people are able to express themselves, are able to come out clearly to say what they want to say about the society, and that such a system is the best and that we should advocate for, and we call it democracy? Are there no side effects to a system like this? This is what we would like to come back to, even as we come to the audience in the sharing, to see how that can be dealt with. Wonderful. You have been watching this debate from the Salesian Sacred Heart Philosophy, that is a major seminary of philosophy, which began this year, separating itself from Bonaventure University, wanting later on to become a university of its own. And so we have the first year students here, and the other two batches, the second and third years, are still going to Bonaventure University, which is about 3 kilometers or 3.5 kilometers from here. And we do have aspirations of improving this center, becoming an open university, an open center of study, in such a way that it will not be only dealing with philosophy, but we are also expecting to have other courses other than philosophy. We are expecting to have psychology, probably education and counseling, something that will help us in our society as young people, or any other person who would want to venture into other studies. This place will be open as we plan to start our constructions here at Don Bosco to extend our academic block, and that should start by next year. So this is the Sacred Heart Salesian Seminary of Philosophy, Salesian College of Philosophy, and you are watching live as you see the judges getting ready. I leave it up to the technician on duty, Brother Zulu here, who is behind the camera.
But for this, because in his reputation, twice second argument to say so therefore, both of these countries are so the issue of reference. Of course, I give you something. Another thing.
Okay, welcome back. As we can see, the judges, they assume the work is finishing now. And they are calling the people at the 25 minutes break. So now we can hear who are the champion, who has won this debate. So let's watch and enjoy.
So, welcome back. So, can we kindly get set so that we conclude what we have already started. So, at this point in time, I would like to invite the representative from the judges to come and give us the breakdown of what they consider. Just comment everything, their observations, whatever it tells, they'll come and tell us that. So after the representative from the judges, I will invite on behalf of the audience to invite the dean to come and announce the results. Okay. So the representative also. We can give here a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I'm from the second world, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, brothers, fathers, sisters. All right, the protocol already obtained. I stand here, Mr. Salesian. I'm the lecturer in English here at the Salesian. And my team, I was with Deacon Moses Chilambe and Brother Costa Sibanda. We really enjoyed the discussion. Thank you very much. But we had to make some few observations. Don't be offended. This is how we go on. You know, when people point out the mistakes, it means they were listening. Otherwise, everything was okay. So we looked at the presentation. How it was, the topic was presentation was presented, because democracy is an evil of the system, isn't it? I'm talking about, I'm not going to say the opposition and the proposal. I'll talk generally so that you understand. When you are presenting a topic, make sure that you own it, you understand it, you come to the crowd, you stand and talk to the people. Let them appreciate the subject in discussion. Don't just stick to the podium and then you're trying to explain to us. We're trying to see the body language. Have you understood this topic that you have brought to us? So that we can equally appreciate it. That was lacking on both parties. And then when you describe democracy, you just describe it generally, forgetting that there are other issues. There's liberal, there's constitutional democracy. You should have brought that one out. So your research was sort of limited. I hope you take note of that. Then, when you started your arguments, you are supposed to follow the first speaker. Take note of the points that the person has brought forward and carry on and put more beef onto it. Add on, make it feel heavy. Let people appreciate. Say, yes, there is an argument going on. We are talking. Don't just like, okay, you have said that, like the last speaker said. There should be a follow-up. Because if you are in court and you are discussing, they want to see the flow of the case, isn't it? But you sort of, I don't know whether we didn't research adequately. We didn't go deeper. We were on the surface, so it was difficult. Or we did have enough time. I don't know. I won't say it for you. When you were refuting what your the other group was saying, make sure that your counter reaction has more points researched. And we are in a modern world. You are talking about the past. We wanted to hear what is happening now. Is democracy working in this country, in Africa, all over the world? Is it happening? But you kept on referring to the past. Yes, there was one part where you said it was like Bush who didn't know the price of whatever. But what about today? If you ask a child, is there democracy in Zambia or in Africa, whichever country they are coming from? This is what we want to do. What is happening today? Not what was happening. Yes, a bit of what was happening in the past, but the world keeps on revolving. It evolves, so we need to know what is happening in today's world. Maybe what could have caused that was that there was not much confidence. You were stuck to your papers, glued, reading. So I don't know whether you started your work on it so that you can come on the podium and present with confidence. That kills you as well, both parties. You need to, when you are debating, You need to address your audience. Speak to them, let them understand, let them see your body language. At times you may not say my part, your body language shows the confidence, and they will know that you understand the subject. This is all that you need them to do. And between the speakers, I think I've tried that. When he finishes his presentation, take notes so that you can kind of immediately say that's the first word or first sentence you pick up, so that people will know that it's flowing. And if there is a question that you need to address, there was that consistently reference to the next question will address. Why don't you answer it if you understand the topic? You can pick it up and say, oh yeah, with this question, this is what is happening. But my colleague will come and add on. But you say something, don't just push it to the next person. It means you don't understand. You haven't understood your topic. Overall, time was well managed except for one or two people. Would just say that it was a job well done, but there's room for improvement. I salute you all, and we just say thank you so much. We tried, and there's like I said, room for improvement, but don't be discouraged. This is just the beginning of better things to come. Thank you very much on behalf of my team.
So thank you so much for the judges. So they have also educated us from their persons. The word educate was constantly being mentioned. So again, so they've educated, also they point on their observation. So take it also from where she left. There are still better days to come. There is always a beginning for everything or in everything. For the first time, under this roof, we are carrying this kind of exercise yet. So history has made itself, and a lot more is yet to come. So I think we should be proud of ourselves for being participants for this kind of a historical day as we celebrate on First Day. So thanks so much. So on behalf of the audience, on behalf of my esteemed panelists, allow me to invite Father Joseph Taylor, our dean, to come and reveal to us the results. We can give him a round of applause.
Acknowledging the presence of distinguished guests, the panelists, the judges, and the lecturers, I should say, representative from the Mr. and the brothers, the students, especially of the club, and my dear colleagues and my dear students. It is Blaise Pascal who said, "Heart has its reasons, which reason does not know." Being part of last 50 years, a part of second largest democracy, India, you feel bubbling in your heart for the good results the Indian democracy has brought. And when I stand, only the heart can speak, not the reason. It's just because Mahatma Gandhi, who is the father of our nation, who established the freedom for our country and led the country to a democratic government along with the B.R. Ambedkar, who said about the Christians, I love Christ, but not the Christians. I love Christ, but not the Christians. My dear friends, democracy is a beautiful system. Democracy is good but not necessarily the Democrats. We had a debate on democracy is an evil system, spoken positively to the topic by our proposing party, and with the eagerness of establishing democracy is not an evil system, we had our opponent speakers. My hearty congratulations to both of them. And to have a very tedious task of judging what they are speaking is entrusted to our great panelists here. Great salute to you. And to bring out this theme and make it an event, even though it is in a beginning stage on this celebration of World Philosophy Day 2022, my hats off to the academic club of Sacred Heart of Jesus Salesian Philosophists and the moderator of today, who did a great job of bringing interest and eagerness in establishing this debate success. With this note, I would like to read out the points which has been granted by the panelists. Democracy is an evil system. The proponents have gathered 569 points. And the opposition have gathered 540 points. I love democracy. Thank you.
So, thank you so much. So, we congratulate each one of us. There is a common saying in the community center, I would say, after we have played maybe a match, whatever the case was, we has won. The community has won. But in this context, I think it is given a statement, okay? So as we like to congratulate our proposal side for making the vision. Congratulate our proposers as we made the winner for the second runners, yeah? Also acknowledge also the tireless effort that has been made by our timekeeper. Before I call upon for the extras to give us a concluding prayer and blessing the meal, I would like to invite each of us to the dining room there for a cup of coffee or a cup of Coca-Cola, a cup of Fanta, and whatever is there, just for some refreshments. Okay, so we are all invited for just refreshment, and then the rest of the program will follow as follows. Okay, so in this juncture, I call upon Father Eustace to come and give us a concluding prayer and blessing. Thank you so much.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Thomas Aquinas, Augustine of Hippo, all those who using their minds try to show us the way to truth, the way to you. We thank you for this time of
intellectual exercise. We thank you for everything that you have allowed us to understand as we peruse through the pages of democracy, wanting to understand how good or evil is this system. Help us, Lord, to deepen our knowledge, to deepen our convictions as we continue following you. Because the end of philosophy is not that we may know what others have said, but what the truth is. And that's exactly what your son, Thomas Aquinas, says. Thank you, Lord, for this intellectual exercise. And we thank you for the meal that you have prepared before us. We ask you to bless it and bless us too, so that we may have energy to continue doing your will. Make our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Happy evening and wonderful. Thank you so much.
To be blessed. Destiny.